Hey, it's Nikki Leonti from Start Your Own Family Daycare, and tonight we are doing a bit of a special segment. So as usual, we have the beautiful Kath Horsler from Simple Reflect. How are you?
Hi guys, I'm good, Nick. How are you?
Good. And tonight we do have a special guest. Kelly Scott's going to be joining us. Now, before we introduce her, I just want to let you know, if you do have any questions for us tonight, pop them in the and I want you to hit that button below as well, and that will share it out to any family and friends who might get some value out of this, because I'm sure you've got some friends who are educators who are looking for a bit more support and might have some questions for us as well. So pop your comments below, and don't forget to click that share button. And we are going to introduce Kelly Scott. Now, this is the first segment we've done with our guest expert. And I'm kind of a bit nervous. I'm not usually nervous before these, but I'm actually a bit nervous because we're using the same software, but it's a little bit different. So we're going to give this a go and see how it goes. So let me bring Kelly in. I don't even know how this is going to look. How's it going to look? All right, Kelly. Yay! It's working. Hello. All right, let me just put that there. Cool. How are you, Kelly?
I'm great, thanks.
That's good. Thanks for coming on. This is a bit exciting for us because we're usually just chatting to ourselves, aren't we, Kath?
We are. Oh, it's put us all side by side. How cool.
Okay. Really cool. I like that. So, Kelly, can you just tell us a bit about yourself and how long you've been doing family daycare for, and let us know.
Sure. So I run Inspiring Minds Family Daycare. I'm in Townsville, North Queensland, and I've been doing it for 2 years now. So I started when my first little boy was 1, and then I've had another little boy since then. So it was always the plan. I've been a teacher for 10 years, and so it was the plan to just go into family daycare as soon as my maternity leave ran out so that I could be at home with my kids. So that's been the plan, and it's working well.
Excellent. And so you've got both your kids at home?
Yes.
With you? Yeah, and you've got the 2 spots. Awesome. That's exactly how I did it.
Yeah. Me too, when I started.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both boys have grown and gone now, but yeah, that's how I started.
Awesome. So, Kelly, what's been something you want to share with people tonight? What's something that you've learned in your journey that you wish you had have known at the start?
Yeah. Probably just how different it is to so many other jobs, that I thought that I'd be very, very well prepared, very well placed, having the teaching background. And it's just totally different once you're by yourself, once you're away from a support network every day. I'm a huge talker, so only having the kids to talk to was something that was really different for me. So I've had to build in strategies for myself to feel like I'm still connected with the outside world. So probably for me, that's my biggest challenge. And because
when you said those strategies, what were they?
So I've started up a play group. So I don't drive.
Yay.
So that was a really big challenge for me because I didn't have the facilities to go out of my own service. So I brought it to me.
Excellent. I think that's such a great idea, because when I first started, I didn't have a car, and I felt that really quite difficult. Also coming from a teaching background where I had a teaching assistant with me all of the time to talk to, and then it was like, bam, I'm on my own. It was kind of really tricky. So that's a great idea. So for people out there who can't drive, think about, setting up a play group that you can meet, and it doesn't have to be every week, but just something that you can start to, nurture some relationships with other educators in the area. which, gives you a little bit of an outlet to talk to people. And we've got a few people joining us already now. So Christina has said good evening.
Hi, Christina.
So Christina, we are also relying on you tonight for some great questions. So we've got 2 questions already lined up. So we're going to get into those.
So Nikki, can I ask Kelly about her play group? So Kelly, do you have other educators, a play group with other educators, or a play group with community?
So both. I started with other educators, and how that's worked out was I just basically started networking with some of the educators in my scheme and invited them over. So it was that simple. And then we had to go through the risk assessment processes and all of those sorts of things to make sure that everything, we had all the parental permission, and they all needed a copy of my environmental risk assessments for my house so that they could include it in their risk assessment. So there was a bit of sharing involved. But it was pretty much the same as setting up any other excursions. So just that I also asked for permission from my parents because it was having a whole set of other people come into my environment. And as part of that, we then organised some incursions together. So some of them they risk assessed, some of them I risk assessed. So we were able to share that workload, which was excellent. So we've actually had the fire brigade come in. We've had a local wildlife group come in with a crocodile and snakes and all sorts of things, because I'm in a rural setting. So snakes are part of our environment that we need to teach them about. And then my main group that did it aren't able to do it just at the moment because they've got some new babies in. So I've set up with a community play group. Just took my kids today for the first time, and they have a free bus service. And so that's how I've been able to get the kids out to the community play group. And it was fantastic.
That's awesome.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and it's all, very low cost. But whole heap of new mums that I got to meet today, and grandparents and all sorts of people. It was great.
So my takeaway from that is that,
excellent. And I think that you keep going, it's so good.
My takeaway from that is that, to be able to connect with others and go out, did you know about that service when you first started your family daycare, or was it something that you found along the way?
I knew about the service because I'd been when my first little boy was a baby, but I had no idea about the connecting. So I just started looking the connection with the bus service. So I started looking into how much it was going to cost to get them there. Could I catch a taxi? What could I do? And I thought, well, I might just ring them and ask and see if there's any sorts of services or anything available, and that was available. And then I thought the parents wouldn't be keen because they wouldn't be in proper child restraints, but they fit them for us and bring them on the bus. So they had all of that as well.
So good. That's fantastic.
Cool. So for everyone listening, if you've just joined us, then Kelly's just letting us know about a play group. So first of all, she started a play group at her place because she didn't have the car facilities to go to play groups, but then found a local play group as well that offered a free bus service. So she found out the free bus service after calling them, which is just incredible. I didn't even know that kind of happened. I always thought that was really just for
Daddy. It's like that that sort of one that was on with the kids, Daddy's looking after him at the moment.
He is.
And just while we've got Jody saying callers joining. So we might start with some of those questions. So first is here. Okay, so do educators charge the same minimum hour at school holidays or just by the hours needed? And this is particularly focused on schoolies. So, Kath, what do you do with schoolies? Do you have, if you've got your minimum daily rate normally, do you apply that to schoolies as well?
Okay, the question's a little bit unclear, so I'll answer it in two different ways. I allow my schoolies to just book for the school term. So if they're coming just after school for 2 hours, then I allow them just to book for the 10 weeks of the term, and then they will have a different contract for what they need for the school holidays. Some educators charge a holding fee or continue charging full fee for those holidays for the hours that they use after school in the holidays. So one, that is super important to check with your scheme what they will allow you to do, what they encourage you to do. I know that there's some educators that if they have before and after school, then that full day is categorized as, 1 day of care. It's not 2 sessions as such, just because they go to school in the middle. So that's another consideration to take in. But with me, my minimum is 8 hours, and so I have a day fee for schoolies in the school holidays, which is completely different to what I charge for my under school age children. It's a totally different fee policy as well. So I've done up a totally different fee policy for my schoolies to what I do for my under schools. And I think
that is interesting.
And I think that's one thing that educators don't realise. They get told you must charge the same. Okay, that's half the sentence. You must charge the same for the same service to the children that are the same age. So if you want to have a fee policy for under-schoolies, then have a fee policy for them. If you want to have a fee policy for schoolies and have it totally different, then as long as all your schoolies are being charged the same, then that's fine as well. Yeah, and I actually at one stage had 3 fee policies because I had a 3rd fee policy for my under-2s. Because all my under-2s were charged the same amount. So as long as you are charging the same age group for the same service, you can actually have different fee policies. And I think that answers that question.
I think that's a great, I think that does answer it. And Kelly, do you have schoolies?
I don't have schoolies, but I was just going to say my scheme policy is exactly the same as Kath's just outlined.
Okay. Yeah. And so I think, we have a comment. So Christina's asking when My Little Princess is going to appear as a guest. Well, she's a very noisy guest, so she probably won't appear anytime soon. But she did just turn 1 last week, which is exciting. So, that was really cool. And Christina said, Kathy, you look and sound so much better this evening. Good to see you fully recovered and charging into it this evening.
Thank you. I was so sick last week. Thank you.
See, we are so committed to this segment that we will come on. We will drag ourselves onto the show.
Consistency.
I know. It's all about the commitment. All right. So let's go into the second question.
Can we just ask Kelly if that's something that you will is schoolie something that you will look at as your munchkins get older?
Yeah, definitely. So as soon as my little one's at school, I'll be doing school runs anyway. So that'll be become part of it. But I'm the same. I've got a 1-year-old, and he's just turned 1 as well. So at the moment, for everyone's sanity, we're just leaving it how it is. And but he's pretty good. So we'll get into that. We've got 1 more year at home for my big boy, and then the following year we'll be starting schoolies.
Yeah, nice.
And so are you close to a school? Like, are you walking distance to a school?
I'm within walking distance to a high school. The closest primary is about 2 kilometres away, so it's still not very far.
Yeah, okay. Still manageable, I guess.
Mm.
Oh, cool. All right. Nice. So now we have this question. Has any educators been under different schemes so one collects fees and sorts all family payments? So this question was a bit longer. So it was asking, have you been with a scheme that has sorted out payments? And then have you been with a scheme that hasn't sorted out payments, and which did you prefer? So Kelly, what does your scheme do?
Now they collect all payments and handle all invoicing. So I haven't been with different schemes, but the same scheme changed halfway through. So we used to do all of our own invoicing, and parents would pay us just into our bank account. We'd have to do a timesheet, then do up our own invoice, send that to the parent. They'd pay us through the bank account. We'd have to do all follow-ups about that, if they didn't pay us on time, etc. And then they increased our fees a little bit, and everyone was in quite an uproar and thought, well, maybe we'll go and look elsewhere. But one of the things that they introduced with that was taking care of all of our payments. And at first, there was still a lot of objections to it, thinking that they didn't want to pay. I think it was about an extra 30 cents jump in one go that they made. But it has been fantastic. And when I look at the amount of time it took me to sit down and do all of the invoices, and I had families that were running constantly about a fortnight behind, and having to deal with that all of the time was not pleasant. We now get paid weekly whether the parent pays or not, and the scheme has a insurance policy that means that they will cover us for 2 weeks. So even if the parent didn't pay for 2 weeks, the parent would then be given notice and told that they're no longer able to be with the service, but the service handles all of that and we still get paid for that 2 weeks. So we're still out having to find a new family and all of that sort of thing, but we don't lose the income in the meantime.
That's really good.
Yeah. So, and I guess when you look at it from that situation, you're looking at a situation where you would be losing the family anyway, because you would be giving them notice yourself. But we also don't have to give the notice. So there's none of those yucky conversations. All of that happens through the service. They become the big bad money man, and we just become the service provider.
Yeah, I think that is such a great way. And how do you do it, Kath, with your scheme?
I'm a bit of a control freak. I don't know that I'd actually want my scheme to do that. That's just, I like the systems that I've got in place. And yeah, I tell my parents what it's going to be, a weekly amount. They need to be on a scheduled direct debit so that I know when it's coming in, I know when to tick it off and when to look for it. And I have a pre-set up text that if it hasn't come in when it usually comes in, I just send that text out. And so, yeah, I do it all myself, and I'm quite comfortable doing it all myself. But I know so many educators just aren't. They spend a lot of time chasing it, and a lot of time, communicating with parents that they're behind or they need to catch up, or they putting payment plans in place or whatever. I just have that conversation right from the start at interviews to say, hey, this is the way it is. If it isn't like this, then this will happen. And I actually follow through. I
Yeah.
try not to think about it. I try and go, okay, no, this is my system, send. This is my system, send. I try and take the emotion out of it. And it's upsetting. And I have had two big two parents do a runner on me, I suppose, over 20 years, which I don't know. I sort of count myself lucky and go, okay, yep, that's a learning experience. Suck it up. It's part of business. And move on as quickly as possible. Yeah. So I don't know. What about you, Nikki?
Yeah, so for me, I've always collected fees ourselves. So Schemes never done that for us. I've always had great families. So I've never had to, I think out of all of the time that I was doing it before I took time off with fee, I maybe had to send one text message, I think, as a reminder. And I knew that family just had genuinely forgotten. So it wasn't like a nasty thing. It was really just like, hey, you've probably forgotten this. And it was always, and so for me, it wasn't like a struggle because I had parents paying on time. However, I know that's not the norm, having, and I always only had 2 or 3 spots at one point, like when my son went to school. So I wasn't trying to cater for 4 kids, potentially 7 kids in a day, 5 days a week or 6 days a week. So I didn't have as many families to be looking at that kind of having those issues. But I think because I was straight up with families as well, like you were saying, and I had a system, I think parents just knew that I wasn't going to mess around. And they also knew that I filled my vacancies pretty quickly, so that was also another issue. I think I know that educators need to have these systems in place, and you need to have these systems in place and be firm. But I can also see it from an educator's point of view. If they are struggling to fill their spots, they
I think that's different.
Kind of think, well, getting the CCB and I have to go and chase and fill another already. So, I can from both perspectives. And doing that because, if they do have families that are just so far behind with the gap payments, some educators are like, well, better half than none at all. And, so I can see it from both perspectives. And, you don't want to be in that position, but, sometimes that's just how it is. Now, Christina has just commented here as well. And Catherine actually said, receipts and chasing payments takes up half of her day off, which is really frustrating.
Yeah.
Sally also said that, yes, she's been with both and definitely prefers the scheme to collect, which is a really cool point. Christina says she's been with both. It seemed like a good idea to have the scheme collect all of the fees, but the scheme I was with kept undercutting me. And when I had to seek care with a family, the scheme would not chase up the money owing and told me I couldn't either. But yet they still took their cut even though payment was not received. So due to that, I preferred doing it all myself. I love the control and I have a very strict system in place. I've never had any issues since since I have been doing it all myself. And that's a really good point because, schemes are going to continue getting paid. So that's something to think about as well. Yeah, really interesting. Jodie's also just said that she's had to let a family go, but with all new families, I've been strong from the get-go. And I think that's another great thing. Joining in our conversations, we like to kind of pull the curtain back and show you what is actually happening in family daycare, what's actually happening in our services, the problems we've come across, and how you can kind of implement this, especially if you're starting out, but how you can make the changes even if you've been going at it for a while. So I find it so much easier. If you're just starting out, it's like start a clean slate, have your policies in place and, be strict and have your system. But if you've been doing it for a while and you've already got some really crappy parents, like it's going to be difficult to try and say, oh, by the way, I know you're a month late, but I'm going to start this new system. Like that's a really hard conversation to have with them. So doing it from the start, it's a really important one. So if you find it a really icky kind of conversation to have, definitely start it with all of the new families that you do get. But I do find, I'm not sure if you guys agree with this, when there's, I've had one bad family out of all of the dealings I've had, and this family was really tricky. Everything just felt lighter. I got another great family in really quickly, but I was like, as soon as you kind of let that go, everything just makes it a bit easier. Have you had that experience, Kelly? Like, when something's not going well?
Yeah, I had one with lots of sickness and coming regardless. And just recently, they've recently just moved anyway. So I had countless conversations though, and it was just draining on me, on the rest of my family, because of course we got sick a lot more as well. Draining with the other parents and the other kids making comments all of the time, and then being caught in the middle of that. And you're right, sort of within a day, you just feel so much lighter, so much better. And you don't realise how much the tiny things build up when you're dealing with them day in, day out.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And what would your experience be, Kath, like with kind of, or did you always feel like you're quite strict on your policies, or was this something you kind of grew into?
Yeah, I think because we actually moved, and I had like 4 years in a centre and at a scheme, and then I came back home again before I had lock. I definitely, when I started again, I definitely had to think of what systems I had in place, what sort of parents I wanted, what sort of families I was looking for. Like I suppose I was stricter with my interview process as well. I sort of had that experience, I suppose, of, okay, this is what I'm looking for this time. It's slightly different because I'm going to have a bubba. And sort of, I think new educators they just want families. They need work right now, and they take on any families. Interview well, got to interview well, and really choose what sort of families are going to suit you, what time working suits you. Like if you're going to start again, or have a fresh start, or draw a line in the sand, or any of that sort of stuff, look at everything and really go, okay, this will make it work better for us as a family. You've got to have it working for your family.
Yeah, I think there's such great points. I think the struggle that I had, that one particular family I had, was because I went against my gut, and I went against kind of the how you kind of have an idea of what types of families you want, and they were not in that kind of ideal family box that I had made. I didn't want anyone younger than my youngest, because I was still breastfeeding at the time. I didn't want to have a child that was completely different sleep routine. Room to put them in, it was like sleep time was in our lounge room. And so this person came in desperate, looking for care. I had one spot on one day left, and I thought, oh man, how am I going to fill one spot? And so when this came along, I thought, this will be fine. And it was an 8-month-old. And I thought, oh, okay. I'm not sure. But I did anyway, and it was just a nightmare, absolute nightmare. Left without pay. Well, because I terminated care. They left without paying anything. I kept chasing up about the deposit, but they just didn't. All of that. It was a real mess. Now, Sally has just asked a question here. Do other educators charge a late fee for late payments? Now, this is an interesting one. Kelly, does your scheme do that?
I was just going to say, I don't know. That's a really good question. Certainly before, when we did it ourselves, it wasn't anything that I had written in about that. So, yeah, perhaps it should be. I don't, I have not dealt with that one myself, though, both under the scheme or when I did it myself.
What about
Kelly,
you?
even if your parents don't pay, you get paid and they chase and look after all that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's
and
super.
It just comes in weekly as a direct deposit into my bank account, and it becomes one payment for no matter how many children you have in care. So a lot of educators have liked that from the perspective of being able to, if they want to get loans and things like that, makes it a little bit easier to show how your income's worked. It's been one big benefit for a lot of families. And there were just agreements that had to be signed between us and the service because they're still not our employer. So, because we're still sit in that interesting little bracket as family daycare.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't actually had to charge mine, but I have a 10% late fee. Once it's a week overdue, it's a 10%. And it's on my fee policy. I talked to my parents all about it. But I've actually never had to charge it. So I know I've been asked this before and I had to go and read it again.
Yeah. Well,
but
Sally's
it's there and it's important.
She says she does her own account and charges
like Telstra does.
payments.
True.
Like Telstra does. That's a great point. And now Christina was just saying that you can also get a debt collection agency. You can have a debt collection agency buy the debt from you, and that way you get the money straight away and then they chase it all up. Which is interesting.
Oh, that is interesting.
But she's not had any
know
issues.
that.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that either. I didn't really know how that works, but that's a really cool point as well, especially if it's a significant amount. I always find that if it's, in those smaller amounts, I much prefer to just, terminate care, if they've left, like if it's just been like the person that left, she only owed me like $100 and something, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to forget about that. For me, it was not worth it. But hopefully, I think also the other thing you want to remember when it comes to late payment is that care is an ongoing commitment, and one late, partly our responsibility as well to make sure that they rest, because it's not like they can start to pay it off because they're going to keep having this bill coming every week. So that's why I really like that 2-week thing. Like if they're not able to pay after 2 weeks, well, man, this bill is going to get massive really quickly and they're just going to dig themselves a hole. Perhaps they're not ready to be, to have care just yet. So that's something as well we need to think about. We only want to provide a service that they can actually afford without causing more stress to families.
Absolutely.
Actually, I did have a family cancel after 2 weeks because they started getting the bill. And then realised, when I wanted to do 4:30 a.m. drop-offs, that was expensive. Even though, I'm the same, I do so much work during the interview process to make sure things are clear. Sometimes you still get the families that just doesn't compute.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Catherine's got a question for you just quickly. The 10% late fee, is that before the rebates or is that just what is on the total outstanding?
That's just on whatever is outstanding to me at the end of the week that it was due.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Excellent. All right. Well, we're just after 8 o'clock, so we haven't got any more questions. But if you are watching the replay, feel free to pop your questions in because we are always checking them and I'm always happy to answer questions by replying to the comments. So if you're watching the replay, still pop your comments below. We're always hanging around. And thank you so much, Kelly, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this is great. Well done.
This is really fun. And I really like how the screen looks. Like, it looks really cool. I had no idea what it was going to look like, to be honest. But yeah, it looks really cool. Oh, wait, hang on. We've got a couple more things to say. Sally has just said, if payment isn't made after 2 days of due date, care is cancelled or threatened to. So that's interesting one. That's quite a strict one. And Christina, in her agreement, she charges $5 per day from the day payment is due until it is cleared in my account. If payment is 1 week late, then no care is provided and a further 1 week's full fees bond is to be paid with the amount owing before care can resume. Yeah, otherwise she looks at debt collection agencies and things like that. I mean, that's a great one. And you know, we are putting that level of trust for payment is by this service. And I always say, you know, if educators are having this issue and they're kind of nervous about bringing it up, I would just say these parents, how would they feel if their work didn't pay them every week? Like, would they be okay with that? Would they, you can't ring your bank and say, so the mortgage is going to be late because some parents haven't paid me. Like, they don't care. So parents need to really be thinking about it. So it's your responsibility to chase this up, but this is your business and this is, what you've worked for. So don't be too scared.
Yeah. And if you're really struggling with approaching a parent about a payment, turn it around and think, okay, I need to help this parent cover their commitment. I don't want it to get any worse for them. I need to help them with their child. And if you actually turn it around and go, how can I help them? But, yes, the payment needs to be made, but look at it as you are helping them, not you are asking them for money. And sometimes that little change in mindset can actually have you bring it into place, I suppose. Nikki, I actually ran a free webinar.
Excellent.
Do you remember my webinar that I ran a couple of months ago on and called it? Yes. It's called Making Your Family Daycare Pay, and it was a whole hour on all of this sort of stuff. So I'll pop the link below because it's something that we do need to build our confidence with too. Yeah. I think if parents can see that you're wishy-washy and you're not really sure and, I don't really want to ask you for money, then some people will take advantage of that, and it's not a good position to be in. So you really want to actually work through some of this stuff and have it really, really clear on what systems you're going to use to make it clear to your parents. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, Kath, can you pop the link in the comments below once you finish?
Yeah.
And Kelly, can you also pop a comment to your Facebook page for your business? Sure. So if people want to follow you, come say hello.
Yeah, that would be super.
Pop that below. That would be great.
Sure.
Fantastic.
And Christina has a message for you, Kath. Any discussion for us tonight on your page?
In the group, in my in the mastermind. I can, if you would like. I can pop over there.
Not.
If you would like to. Let's do that.
Only State of Origin on tonight anyway.
Hey, I totally forgot. Yeah. I might stay here in the study and do some chatting. Hey, I'm New South Wales. You two are Queensland.
All right, well, bye. Ever. It just doesn't interest me at all. And Andy's not into it. He's like, whatever. Yeah.
Oh,
cool. All right. Well, I might actually put a call out as well. I really loved having Kelly on tonight. So if any of our audience wants to come and chat with us, join the chat. Send us a message. It was really fun just to get your perspective and feel free. We'll definitely have you back on again, Kelly, if you're keen.
Sounds good.
Awesome. All right, everyone, have a great night, and we'll talk to you next week on Simple Reflects.
We will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.